Johnny, is religion the answer to our prayers? I don't know whether it'll save us, Johnny, but there is a train of thought out there that suggests that being religious might be a form of mental illness. Mental illness? What the hell is that all about? Yeah, mental illness.
Read it, but it's very, very specific in how it diagnoses schizophrenia. People who claim to talk to God and things like that, what they're describing does match some of the symptoms that are listed in the DSM-5 under some of these disorders, but it's not all of the symptoms listed under this one disorder. So we know for a fact that it's not schizophrenia because they don't have visual hallucinations or things like that. There's a lot to schizophrenia.
I mean, take for instance, Johnny, you've got your neighbour across the street there. And she happens to believe that there are fairies at the bottom of a garden. Fairies at the end of the garden, yeah. Yeah, fairies. She might believe that the fairies, they're looking after her. And here's their thoughts and their wisdom. Johnny, fairies at the bottom of the garden, for Christ's sake, they're not. And she organises a fund or raises the money, for instance, to buy a block of land and build a bloody great big beautiful building dedicated to the fairies. Oh, Johnny, I think you're bloody... There are a whole lot of people who also believe in the fairies who come along and they worship the fairies in this particular building. Now, a lot of people would say she's fucking crazy. But is she any different than the people out there who believe that there's a big being up there who's watching over us and it's going to help things? Is that any different? But Johnny, fairies at the bottom of the garden, for Christ's sake, they're not the same bloody thing as that.
In that way, behavior that is seemingly pathological would seem to have some sort of predictability to it, and we're already talking about a self-selected universe of people calling in, and you have a unique seat to be able to talk about belief in that which cannot, by proposition, be proven as true, as a form of mental disability, a way of thinking that is flawed enough to have anchored itself within our human simian selves.
For instance, Johnny, you might devoutly believe that there's a big bloody purple spotted dragon that comes to visit you every night. Spotted dragon, he whispers things in your ears that make you feel better and believe in life a little bit more. Who are we to say that you're fucking crazy? Johnny, are you trying to say that people who believe in the good Lord, they've got some sort of mental illness? Is that what you're saying? If you think there's a big pink bloody spotted dragon coming to visit you, and you get nourishment from that bloody visit, then are you crazy or not? Oh, Johnny, you're talking shit.
No mental illness has been claimed or suggested. As expected, immediately people started posting things that intuitively feel correct, like, well, no mental illness other than the fact that she killed her 11-year-old daughter. And I understand why people think that way, and I'm not even going to say that they're necessarily wrong. I am not a mental health professional. I'm not going to diagnose her, but I understand the armchair motivation to say, wow, a parent just killed their 11-year-old daughter. If anything, this is a situation where you would expect a parent to care even more and do what's necessary, because an 11-year-old can't consent and any sort of sex is rape of some sort, etc. But instead, it was followed up by, well, no sign of mental illness except for the religion. This is what you get from religion. This is what religious people do. Religion is mental illness, just over and over and over again. And there were several people trying to comment that, no, that's not the case. And so, first of all, let's take a look at whether or not there is an argument to be made that religions, and in particular, in this case, Christianity, would give someone the motivation to kill their child.
Johnny's bloody crazy. He thinks there's a big purple spotted bloody dragon comes and visits him. He's fucking nuts. Yeah, when you put it like that. But the people who are calling you nuts, they might be believing in something that's equally improbable. But Johnny, there's a bloody great big book about it, for Christ's sake. there's all these stories.
For the truths of religion to impact our life, we do not need to fully understand their meaning. For myths, like dreams, are encoded in symbolic form, and so they point in the direction of truths that are not fully comprehensible by the conscious intellect. But as Jung explains, we like to imagine that something which we do not understand does not help us in any way. But that is not always so. Myths have a direct effect on the unconscious, no matter whether it is understood or not. The fact that its repeated telling has not long since become obsolete can, I believe, be explained by its usefulness.
Yeah, you can make anything up you want, Johnny. You can make a big being up there that's looking over us. You could do all this sort of bloody stuff. You could, it could be some sort of spirit of the sea or some bloody thing, and that doesn't make it any less viable than the accepted religions. Oh, yeah, I suppose.
In the modern world, many of us have completely severed our connection to the realm of mythos, and many of us view religion with derision and scorn. Some consider this as a sign of enlightenment and progress, but it may be a form of psychological regression. In a lecture delivered to Yale University in 1937 titled Psychology and Religion, Jung went as far as to call atheism the urban neurosis. And in his decades of practice treating hundreds of patients, he came to the conclusion that for some patients, the only means of fixing what ailed them was the birth of a religious attitude to life. Among those in the second half of life, he wrote, that is to say, over 35, there has not been one whose problem in the last resort was not that of finding a religious outlook on life.
But Johnny, then what's the bloody answer? What's the bloody answer, man? What's the answer? Well, I think humans are just made that way, Johnny. We're made that way that we know we're actually going to die. Like a zebra or some other bloody thing out in the plains in Africa. They don't even worry about the lions when they're not hunting them. We got self-awareness, so we know we're going to die and we shit ourselves and look for some other.
If we continue to spurn religion, we will not lose our need for meaning. We will merely look for meaning in other places. We will worship the state, a political party, or science, all of which are inadequate and sometimes dangerous substitutes to the cultivation of an authentic religious outlook on life.
But I think that's just how we are, Johnny. Back in the caveman days, when a bit of realisation, the cavemen, you're always going on about the bloody cavemen. Bit of bloody realisation eventually got into the Neanderthal's thick fucking head that he thought he knew he was going to die, so they started thinking about things and what happens here and what happens there, and I reckon there's spirits in the trees and there's spirits in the streams and all that, but that doesn't make it any less bloody real. Yeah, when you put it like that. Well, next time I hear people talking about fairies at the bottom of the garden, Johnny, I'm going to take them a bit more bloody seriously. I don't know about purple spotted dragons, though. That sounds a bit bloody. You'd be fucking crazy. But Johnny, what if we are living in a bloody computer simulation? And God is just a computer programmer. Isn't it just bloody... Aren't we all just wasting our time? It's all bloody... If we are living in a computer simulation, Johnny, it's all bloody been preordained and programmed anyway, so we're just fucking... it's all meaningless anyway. We just think it's meaningful.
Perhaps, therefore, we need the mythos of religion to nourish our psyche and imbue our life with meaning and purpose. Perhaps without some form of a religious outlook, man descends into the chaos of nihilism, totalitarianism, and hatred of self and society.
And who's gonna believe you? You're a killer, Harry. A maniac.